Welcome back to CEO.ca. In this episode, we're with Juan Carlos Giron Jr. of Canstar Resources. Now, Canstar has locked up 625 square kilometers of land in Newfoundland's hottest corridor for precious metals and critical minerals. Think of that like the size of the city of Toronto. It's massive. There's visible gold that spans 40 kilometers and high-grade hits at surface. Could be an undervalued story that we're focused on here today. Juan Carlos, maybe we can start with, what the vision is that you've had or have for Canstar moving forward.
That's a great question. Yeah, look, fundamentally, we believe that there is a tremendous opportunity to create exciting shareholder value in the mining sector. And we think that's achievable through combining the best geology, the best jurisdictions, the best geoscience, and smart exploration and smart acquisition. We think the market environment is perfect for that right now. So that's really the vision for Canstar.
Good high-level overview that we'll break down. So let's get started. VMS deposits. Can you talk us through what they are for the audience?
VMS deposits are very interesting. They're the only deposit that you can see being formed in the modern era. They're formed basically via these hydrothermal systems of the seafloor, the ancient seafloor. And essentially you have, these geological forces that are creating cracks and fissures in the ocean floor. And you have seawater that penetrates down deep into the earth and it gets hotter and hotter and hotter. And that seawater, with all the unique chemistry of the seawater, acts almost like a solvent and it strips all these minerals out of the rocks. And then through the process of convection, when that seawater comes back to the surface and exits via these hydrothermal events, when that 300 degrees Celsius seawater hits the 3 degrees Celsius, ocean floor, you get this massive chemical reaction. And basically these minerals precipitate into these lens-style deposits that form out over the seafloor. And, central Newfoundland used to be a seafloor at some point. And so basically, from the Buckens district, that these not only were VMS deposits present in that district, but the highest grade of all time. So clearly there was a very special process there. And when you think about the Buckens project that we have, but also the Mary March project, which is a very, very exciting project for us, about 25 kilometers east of Buckens. We think this is all part of a big system. And we think it's a very special system and one that we're really excited to explore.
Well, since coming on as CEO a year and a half ago, there's been significant progress made to kind of bring you to where you are today. Can you walk us through, that progress and what kind of key proof points you've been able to demonstrate so far to shareholders?
Absolutely. Well, we started off really with a recapitalization of the company that was led by J. Paul Austin III, famous kind of Coca-Cola family and a good friend of mine and a mentor of mine. So bringing in that strategic capital as the foundation for us was really critical. We've added 2 new board members, J. Paul Austin being one of them. We also brought in Nyla Beth Gavell, Fortune 100 executive. So kind of combining the best of mining with the best of outside of mining. We have Neil Burns from Wheaton, Dr. Jackie Allison, James Clare, who's a partner here at Bennett Jones in Toronto. We brought on some major key technical advisors, including Dr. David Kilcullen, who's a leading geostrategist, which ties into our kind of commodity awareness and what we're looking at when we kind of study project potential. We've also closed this $11.5 million non-dilutive strategic exploration joint venture with VMS Mining Corporation, brought on Dr. Harold Gibson to lead the technical program there, and then executed this LOI with Terra AI, which is, a Coastal Ventures, Silicon Valley-based, Stanford PhD, top machine learning talent in the world kind of group. So I think when you look at the foundation and the platform that we have here and the way that we've executed with capital efficiency, I think the foundation's built. Scale and growth is what's next for us. And I think it's going to be an exciting 6 to 12 months.
Well, before we talk about the joint venture with VMS Mining Corporation, what's the deal with Terra AI?
Terra AI is really interesting. Look, it's worth saying because I think AI suffers from the way that it's marketed sometimes, right? It suffers because sometimes it's pitched as this silver bullet, and there are no silver bullets, as we all know. At the end of the day, however, when you're talking about exploration, fundamentally what you're talking about is capital allocation for the collection and interpretation of data. And there is no doubt that elite top-tier machine learning talent can augment and leverage the geoscience in the field.
Absolutely.
To fuse these vast data sets together and to find the signal in the noise and to improve the chances of success and reduce the cost of success. So we've always known we wanted to do something on the data science front. We spent probably a year plus talking to different companies out there. At the end of the day, though, this group is, in our opinion, the best one to place your bets with. The founder actually was at Cobalt for a while as a senior data scientist, but he did classified work for Boeing Phantom Works, and also has a PhD from Stanford. I mean, did defense intelligence and Army Research Laboratory. So this group, I think objectively, you're talking the top machine learning talent in the world. So we're very excited, and they don't pitch AI like a silver bullet. They understand it's a tool, and so we're really excited to work with them. And I think it's gonna do some exciting stuff.
Well, you talked about the joint venture quickly. Maybe we could talk a little bit more about that. How does it support the company in accelerating your road to discovery?
That's a great question. Well, first of all, you're talking about $11.5 million in non-dilutive capital contributed over 3 phases from a partner that has collectively over $4 billion in buyouts in the last 10 years or so. So the track record there is as good as it gets in the industry. These are some of the biggest names: Aurelian Resources, Cisco. These are some of the biggest successes in our industry in recent memory. And you combine that with the world-class technical expertise of the technical lead for this joint venture, Dr. Harold Gibson. 40 years of experience, has seen hundreds of VMS deposits globally. Has probably looked at millions of meters of core. You think about that kind of technical expertise and that kind of track record. And at the end of the day, the geology, the capital, the technical expertise, I think that's as good a chance you have to make an exciting exploration. Commodities move in cycles, as you know. The last super cycle that we saw, the last major sustained structural bull market in metals, was from about 2001 to 2011. We've then seen a structural bear market in metals from about 2010 through, call it the early 2020s. We believe that we're seeing the next major sustained structural bull market in metals developing right now. We think it's a very exciting time. We also think that the fact that you've had that structural bear market for the last, call it 10, 15 years, means you can buy some very attractive undervalued assets right now. And we think that Canstar represents, the current projects we have, we think fit right into that mold, but we also think there's great acquisition opportunities. Now, when you talk about specifically why is VMS exciting in this environment, these VMS deposits are polymetallic. You get critical and precious metal exposure. So you look at the Buckens district and historically produced a lot of copper, a lot of zinc, also a lot of gold and silver. About 750,000 ounces of gold were produced from those deposits as well. So I think for this environment, where we think this bull market is going to be driven not just by gold, but I think gold obviously is going to be a big, big role here for a number of reasons we could get into. But obviously the critical metals boom. You talk about electrification, you talk about AI, data centers, the need for copper. So we think that these polymetallic multi-commodity deposits are maybe the most exciting opportunity in mining right now.
So you've been deliberate in the past and also so far today in this interview about structuring growth without capital dilution. How are you thinking about capital efficiency as you scale?
I mean, look, I think it starts with a culture of capital efficiency. I'm not ashamed to say, as the CEO of the company, I make $11,000 a month. So, we're really focused on putting our dollars into the ground. The most important thing for me is building shareholder value. The most important thing for me is building a valuable company. Everything else is secondary and subordinate to that. And obviously, when we're thinking about creating shareholder value, that means we've got to treat our shareholders right, which means we have to be very careful about dilution, which is why we were so excited to structure this big strategic investment from VMS Mining Corporation at the project level. So overall, they're getting 60% of the project for $11.5 million through 3 phases. That preserves our corporate capital structure. And really to date, with the capital that we raised when I first came into the company, and we've subsequently had a lot of warrant exercises to fund us, everything that we do is efficient from a capital standpoint, but also in terms of how we're issuing shares and to whom we're issuing shares, which is very important, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what should we be looking for in the next, 3-6 months? What kind of next proof points do you want to point out?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, so I just got back from Newfoundland last week. I was with our team at the Buckens and Mary March projects. I can say that the progress is excellent and that the exploration activities, they're accelerating. Now, I want to make it clear, because we get this question all the time: when are you going to drill? When are you going to drill? When are you going to drill? No one is more excited about drilling than I am, but I will say that we have the right geology. We have the right technical approach there. The approach that we're taking is very systematic. We're moving fast, but deliberate. The way to create shareholder value through exploration is to make sure that you really understand the geology. We were there on the project, like I said last week, Dr. Harold Gibson, Dr. Rodney Allen, who's worked at Bolita, another leading VMS expert globally. This is all coming together very nicely now. At Mary March, where we're focused right now is on remapping the core there to get a better understanding of the geology. There was a drill hole that was drilled in 1999 and never really followed up on by a company called Phelps Dodge. 10 meters of massive sulfide, grading about 15% base metals and 4 grams per ton gold. It's right there in the Mary March project. So we like to say, we're in elephant country. We know that because of the high-grade Buckens deposits. We've touched the elephant. And I think what investors should really be looking for is over these next couple of months, as the structural and geological picture comes together, obviously we're going to be talking about drill targets and next steps there. And then the other thing that I would say to keep a lookout for is strategic acquisitions. As I mentioned, we're aggressively advancing our acquisition pipeline, and we're looking at resource stage plus opportunities. We have some projects in the pipeline we're pretty excited about. So those are the two things: news on Mary March and Buckens, and the exploration progress there as we move towards drilling, and high-grade resource stage acquisition were the things that we're focused on.
Well, lastly, when are you going to drill? No, I'm kidding.
That's great. No, I appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So Juan Carlos of Canstar, you can find the company under their ticker symbol, which is all below for you. But of course, go to our website, CEO.ca, to see what the chatter is like about Canstar. Thanks for watching.